The word slop has a surprisingly long history behind it. Back in the 1700s, it meant soft mud, just wet, messy earth. Over time, the definition shifted towards something broader and more abstract. It came to describe anything of little value, anything messy or unwanted, and that meaning stuck around for centuries before anyone imagined what artificial intelligence would become. When AI image generators started flooding the internet in 2022, people needed language to describe what they were seeing. Early attempts at naming this phenomenon included terms like AI garbage and AI pollution. Some called it AI-generated dross, but none of those quite captured the feeling of it all. They were too clinical, too formal. What people were experiencing felt more visceral than that. The word slop began appearing in online communities around that time. It showed up on 4chan, on Hacker News, in YouTube comment sections. It functioned as a kind of in-group slang, a way for people who spent too much time online to identify each other and commiserate about what the internet was becoming. The term felt right. It evoked something unpleasant, something you would not want to consume. Simon Willison, a British computer programmer, helped bring the term into broader conversation. He used it on his personal blog in May 2024 and became an early champion of the word in tech circles. But he was quick to point out that he did not invent it. The word was already circulating around the same time. A popular YouTube commentator named Pyrocynical started using it in videos, which helped spread it further. By late 2024, the word was everywhere. Headlines criticized the slop, flooding search results and social media feeds, and then came the ultimate validation of its cultural relevance. Merriam-Webster named slop the 2025 Word of the Year. The American Dialect Society did the same. Not bad for a word that started out describing mud. So what actually makes something slop? It turns out there is an academic framework for this. In January 2026, Cody Commerce and a team of researchers published a paper that tried to bring some clarity to the question. They admitted upfront that it is impossible to draw a perfect line between slop and non-slop, but they did identify 3 traits that keep showing up. The first is superficial competence. This is the tricky one. The content looks fine at a glance. It seems polished, professional, even, but the moment you look closer, the substance falls apart. It is like a building with a nice facade, but nothing behind it. The second trait is asymmetric effort. This is about the ratio between what went in and what came out. Traditionally, creating something polished required real work, hours of practice, drafting, editing. With slop, you get the polished surface with almost no human labor. That asymmetry is part of what makes it feel hollow. The third trait is mass producibility. Slop is not just one thing, it is hundreds or thousands of things generated quickly and dumped into feeds. It is the scale that changes how we experience it, but not all slop looks the same. The researchers described 3 dimensions where it can vary. First is instrumental utility, meaning why it was created in the first place. Some slop exists to sell ads, some exists to manipulate opinions, some exists just because someone could make it. Second is personalization. Some slop is so specific it only appeals to one person or a tiny group. Other slop is designed to appeal to everyone, or at least to the widest possible audience. Third is surrealism. This is where things get strange. Some slop aims for realism and gets close enough to fool you. Other slop goes completely off the rails. It is ludicrously implausible, the kind of thing where a celebrity has 6 fingers or a city floats in the sky for no reason. Both extremes still count as slop, they just hit different notes. The financial incentives behind all this are surprisingly straightforward. Follow the money, and you start to see the real engine driving this flood of content. Advertising rates for us audiences are significantly higher than for viewers in most other parts of the world. That simple economic fact has created an entire industry of creators in developing countries who produce AI-generated images and videos specifically designed to capture American attention. Facebook and TikTok have become the primary battlegrounds for this kind of content farming, where every click and every second of engagement translates into real revenue. The Guardian published an analysis in July 2025 that laid this trend bare. They found that 9 of YouTube's top 100 fastest-growing channels were dominated by AI-generated content. We are talking about things like zombie football matches and cat soap operas. These videos sound absurd when you describe them out loud, but somehow keep people watching. The absurdity is almost the point. They are engineered to be just strange enough to hold your attention while being cheap enough to produce at massive scale. Music streaming has its own version of this problem. Spotify has been dealing with fake bands that exist only to game the royalty system. One example that gained attention was a band called The Velvet Sundown. The name sounds legitimate enough, like something you might find on a folk playlist, but the band itself was entirely synthetic, created to generate streams and collect payouts from the platform's royalty pool every time someone hit play. Money moved from Spotify to whoever had set up the artificial artist. It is the same logic behind the YouTube channels and the Facebook pages. The tools have become cheap, the platforms are willing to pay, and the barrier to entry has essentially disappeared. Let us walk through where this stuff actually shows up, because the invasion is happening platform by platform, each one dealing with its own particular mess. Start with Google. When they rolled out Gemini AI to generate search responses, suddenly everyone searching for basic information was getting synthesized answers instead of links to actual sources. The term slop really caught on in the spring of 2024. Partly because of this, people were searching for health information or historical facts and getting these confident-sounding, but sometimes completely wrong summaries pushed right to the top of the results page. You did not even have to click through to a website anymore. The slop was served up directly. Then there is what people started calling microslop. Microsoft integrated their Copilot chatbot directly into Windows, and users found AI assistance baked into their operating system, whether they wanted it or not. The nickname tells you exactly how people felt about that particular forced marriage. The literary world took a hit too. Clark's World, a respected science fiction magazine, had to stop accepting submissions entirely. They were drowning in AI-generated stories. We are not talking about a trickle of questionable entries. We are talking about a flood that overwhelmed their slush pile and made it impossible for editors to find genuine work from human writers. They literally could not function under the volume. Wikipedia faces a different problem. Their volunteer editors work hard to maintain accuracy, but now they are fighting a constant battle against AI-generated content slipping into articles. The moderation system was built for human-scale problems, not for machines that can produce plausible-sounding text in seconds. It strains the entire project. Each platform thought they were getting something helpful. What they got was something they are still trying to figure out how to manage. The real danger starts when slop stops being merely annoying and starts being actively harmful. Take what happened during Hurricane Helene. As floodwaters rose and emergency crews scrambled to respond, fake images started circulating online. They showed a young girl clinging to a puppy, supposedly a victim of the disaster. The images were completely artificial, generated by AI, but that did not stop people from sharing them as evidence of failed rescue efforts. Real people looked at these fabricated pictures and concluded that the government had abandoned a child. The images became political ammunition, weaponized to attack disaster response, all based on something that never existed. Then there is the case of Pete Hegseth, who posted a manipulated image of Franklin the turtle. This is a character from a Canadian animated show that teaches preschoolers about kindness and empathy. But in this altered version, Franklin was reimagined as a grenade-wielding fighter used to promote military action. A gentle children's character transformed into a symbol of violence, all to make a political point. What makes these examples so troubling is how easily they spread. Most people do not examine every image carefully. They scroll quickly, glance at a headline, maybe pause for a second on a picture, and move on. Even obviously fake content can leave an impression. The image registers, the emotional response lingers. By the time someone realizes it was fabricated, the misinformation has already done its work, and beyond the political consequences, there is the human cost. Artists are watching their livelihoods disappear. Illustrators, designers, photographers, people who spent years honing their craft, now find themselves competing against algorithms that can produce thousands of images in the time it takes to sketch a single frame. It is not just about quality, it is about the fundamental displacement of human creativity by something that can mimic it without understanding it. There is a fair question to ask here: is any of this actually new? The debate splits pretty cleanly down the middle. Francesco de Esa, an art curator, takes what might seem like a cynical view at first glance. He argues that we are fooling ourselves if we think mediocrity started with artificial intelligence. The majority of human production has always been slop. He says what we call the canon of great art is really just the surviving tip of an immense iceberg. Everything below the waterline is forgotten, derivative, or simply boring. Most of what humans made throughout history never deserved to be remembered. We just do not see it anymore, because time swept it away. The difference now is that AI produces its iceberg in real time, right in front of us before the waves have had a chance to wash anything clean. That argument has weight. But there is another perspective worth considering. Greg Barlow, the president of Merriam-Webster, sees something hopeful in the fact that people have latched onto this word. The very act of labeling something slop, he suggests, reveals a deeper hunger. People are not resigned to a world of synthetic filler. They want things that are real. They want things that are genuine. The word itself becomes almost defiant, a way of pushing back against the idea that AI can simply replace human creativity without anyone noticing or caring. So the question remains: is this a new problem, or an old one wearing a digital mask? Maybe it is both. The scale is new, the speed is new, but the underlying tension between quantity and quality, between filler and substance, has been with us all along.